Oh, that's a really complicated question. I have enough coffee before I get into that one. I suppose my starting principle is that we, as an international community, have articulated a set of rights that we think are important to preserving liberal democracy and the dignity of humans. And privacy is a key one. There's only about 20 of them, and privacy is one of them. So it is a really key feature of how we've come to understand the framework that should govern our societies, particularly in the aftermath of the atrocities of World War II. And the right to privacy was very much informed by what happened in Nazi Germany during the Holocaust, and the notion that no human should have their body or their family or their correspondence subject to the scrutiny and intrusion of another, and particularly of a state. And, that is my starting point, that the principle is key to who we are as humans. It's key to who really privacy at its heart is about autonomy. And autonomy is really key to who we are as individuals and really key to our human dignity. And that is played out in all sorts of different ways. As to whether there's utility in having the right to privacy, I suppose go back to, human rights, not necessarily about utility. They're about, things like dignity. But I also see that there's a lot of utility in protecting the right to privacy. And I would say that for a few reasons. I think we know that societies in which individuals are free to be who they want to be, including an element of that is being able to think, communicate, speak without being afraid that they're being watched and conforming to some ideal articulated by another. Those societies are more creative and vibrant and free, and going to lead to more innovation, more ideas, more progress. So I think at a high level, actually, societies where individuals have a good degree of freedom and human autonomy really does also, it's consistent with innovation. I also think that when it comes to technology in particular, privacy has been shown to be good for business. It's actually about being responsible with the data that you have, the data that you collect, and thinking through the risks that might flow from that and mitigating those risks. And if you do that, you're minimizing your risk as an organization. You're also able to build trust. And building trust is really key for individual buy-in, for government buy-in, for B2B services. We know that kind of trust and confidence in technology tools is a really key element to ensure that their adoption and their success. And there's nothing easy about technological uptake or digitization. It is a messy human project, and privacy is a really great building block to encourage that. So I don't really buy into the notion that the two should be put into some kind of head-to-head clash, but rather that privacy can absolutely be consistent with and even support innovation. I would just caveat that with saying that I think, as ever, in all fields of regulation, we can err too far on the side of more rules, more layers of process. And we should really be reflective of that as legislators, as policymakers, and in my case, as regulators who have to apply the law. What we want to achieve is the right outcome. We don't necessarily need to lean into the process just for the sake of it. And perhaps in the data protection space, that balance hasn't always been gotten right. And that's something that we could work on more going forward, particularly if by getting the balance wrong, we undermine the entire project of privacy. That would be a really bad outcome, I think.